Hey everyone, JSD Cool here, and welcome to another episode of Coolcraft Season 8. Now, how high can I get? That's the question today. I got to 4,200 blocks in the sky, and yeah, the map looks a tiny bit different than it did last time, but I'm not really going to talk about that. What I guess more accurately talk about is I sound slightly different, probably, to you. And there are reasons for that. Watch the last episode. I don't know. Maybe. Anyway, in the last episode, I built this here, storage system, or at least this is the start of my storage system. I loaded a lot of items into it and then realized, wow, this is not nearly big enough for anything that I wanted to build, or store, really. Additionally, in the last episode, I expanded the size of my bamboo farm here, and I know I was at one point remarking that it still felt too small and I might want to expand it further, but since then I've decided this is a good size, because it's actually seems like it sped up the actual output of bamboo by significantly enough that this thing now filled up within a reasonable speed. Now, something that I've recently had to be dealing with here on the server is that we don't have any real, good sources of XP around. The two ways that I've kind of had to get XP here have been by operating my manual slime farm here and by trading with my villagers, both of which are valid ways of getting XP, as they do provide, I guess, sufficient amounts, but they're not ideal. They're a little bit slow. So that's why I think that it's high time I get building a gold farm. But, of course, actually, I guess step one is get to the roof of the nether, as that's where you build a gold farm. Building a gold farm beneath the roof of the nether, while possible, is way too much effort. And yeah, it would be faster, but you'd have to spawn-proof/remove literally everything in the area beneath the roof of the nether. Alright, step one complete. Get onto the nether roof. Now we gotta do step two. Break this bedrock here. That'll be a standard challenge of standard proportions, as we know. Alright then, it is actually time to break said bedrock here. So, this is the, very complicated process of going, did I get it? No, I didn't. Okay, I was very unprepared for that, so that's why we have 5 shots to try again. Oh yes, that's right, you have to place the piston first. That's, yeah, that's something I definitely remembered. Yeah, I definitely remember how to do this, guys. Not at all having to, re-remember this as I'm going through it. Not at all that. And well, I'm not at all starting to panic, because I only have a couple TNT left. There we go, we got it. Let's go. Alright. Yeah. Now that we got this hole in the nether, now we actually got to collect the rest of the resources for the gold farm. And I've collected all the resources for this build, which did take a while because, glass, or just smelting in general, is very slow with only 2 furnaces. And I really should have made it faster, but I, for some reason, didn't. But anyhow, I have found a place on the roof of the nether to build this farm, which may look a little bit familiar once we get building, although let's be real, it doesn't, because none of you have ever actually watched all of my videos before, so it's definitely not familiar at all, definitely not. Anyhow, welcome to the time lapse. Alright, the farm build itself has been completed. Now, this, as I alluded to earlier, is the design that I built all the way back in Season 3, or designed this for Season 3, back during the Nether update when they were initially saying that Piglin XP drop mechanics are going to be changing. Obviously, that didn't change until actually recently. But I preemptively designed this farm like 6 years ago. Or oh god, it wasn't 6 years ago. It was close to that though. There is one thing that I didn't do for this farm though, which is the actual, or I didn't properly do, which was the storage setup, because you see, this was designed well before the crafter was added to the game, and I had a crafting system that worked. It's very similar to the crafter, but it's not exactly the same, and I haven't updated this design really with this up-to-date crafting system, so I will have to go do that now and actually put in the crafters. Alright, I've installed all the crafters and actually set up all the item filters as well. So hopefully the farm should now just theoretically be ready to go. And yeah, that means, well, let's get testing. Oh yeah, also ladders to the ground is an extra DLC. You gotta pay 5 diamonds for that. Of course. The farm like this, the way you start it is you gotta like somehow hit a piglin with a projectile. So we'll choose this guy. And then they all come rushing in right here. Oh, yeah, I'll turn it down in post, because why not? And then you just start swinging at them with your sword. Ooh, spears are a thing. That is something I might need to be a little bit concerned about. But yeah. Ah, piss. There's supposed to be minecarts right here to pick stuff up that lands on the trapdoor. Ah, that's such a pain to put in. Hello, spear in my face. Kill a few more of these guys, then we'll go down to the storing sword. Alright, let's go see how things are going down here. So, the way this item collection system is built to be real fast because there's a lot of items that are possible to be generated from this. Then yeah, we just bounce everything around with slime blocks here. And basically all the gold gets taken out right here. Alright, all seems to be working here, so the only thing left to do now is to install the bucket of lava here at the end to get rid of all the items that are not picked up by the system. Oh, and I guess I also have to install the minecarts. But yeah, this farm is otherwise finished. Although actually, additionally, there is one other thing that we might want to try to do. You see, this farm was designed with some places for iron golems to stand around the perimeter of the farm, whose job is to attract the magma cubes off the platform so they don't end up standing out here or hopping on top of this. The problem with that is those golems have always disappeared for some reason in the past, and I've not really been able to figure out why. So what I might do now is I might try to put those back in, but this time put the iron golems on leads so that they can't go anywhere. Just an idea, but yeah, I guess I gotta put the minecarts in here. Okay, I've installed golems and also decided to install the fence posts above them to leash them to it. However, those are at build height, and I couldn't obviously put them higher, so I don't know if they'll work as intended. They may help keep the golems actually on the glass blocks that they're on, but because I couldn't put them higher, it's very likely that this isn't going to do much apart from catch them if they fall off. Which, I mean, I guess that would be pretty valuable. I won't have to go hunting around down there for them. I'll just see that they fell off and that they're now useless to me. But, yeah, this also won't really help them stay in place. Theoretically, if I really wanted to help them stay in place, I'd put some blocks either side of them to actually like force them to like not be able to move, and then put the fence post a bit far behind them so that they'd be pulled into the corner. But again, short of doing that, this is the best I've got in terms of trying to keep the golems on here, and we'll see how that goes. Also, I put some buttons here because I know some regular piglins were spawning here, and I was like, that's not good. Now, I guess we get back to chopping the piglins, I guess. Or attempting to chop them and seeing what other problems I have. Yeah, so as it would appear, yeah, this farm might need a little bit of, modification in order for it to be usable in modern day. While that screen may have said that I starved to death, I assure you that is definitely not the root cause of why I died there. And, oh, welcome back to 8 levels. So, here, let me go actually say what's been going on here. So, spears are a thing now, and, as you can kind of see over there, piglins can hold spears, including the baby piglins. And they can therefore stab me back through here, which makes this farm no longer safe to operate, I think. Or no longer safe enough to operate. So, basically, I was standing here, using the farm like normal, and then they hit me with a spear a couple times, which lowered my health and then caused a bunch of my hunger to get used up. And then I was AFK, so I just kept hitting, which eventually caused me to starve to death and my health was already low. So I think I'm going to have to redesign this whole killing chamber area to make it safe to use without having to worry about getting speared by the piglins. So I guess to creative. Alright, so I'm in creative mode now, and I've pasted in the farm here and gotten up to speed with what we've made it, as apparently the only other version of this farm, and spyglass this, the only other version, oh, that was not the right button. There. The only other version of this farm that I have in this world is the original, very flawed design that I built all the way before Season 3 that had to heavily modify in Season 3 to get it to work properly. But anyhow, this new one here that I pasted in is now directly up to speed with what we currently have in Season 8 here. And now we need to take a look at modifying this thing to hopefully not have spears be a problem. So actually, first thing, I can go over this design, I guess, in a little bit more detail here. So it's a, pretty standard spawning platform thing. You just got, like, the magma blocks and rings. It's magma blocks specifically because only piglins and magma cubes, or zombified piglins and magma cubes are the only mobs that can spawn on these magma blocks. Which is important because those are the only ones, or specifically zombified piglins are the only ones we want to spawn. We then just have a platform here with some stairs to let them come up. They come in here, they go here, and they die. At least that's how it worked. Now they can kind of spear us back. Now, due to the original, heft of the amount of items that we were getting out of this, I had to create this massively beefed up item storage system here back in Season 3 to prevent the server from functionally crashing if I AFK'd at this, because that did happen a couple times. So there are two sets of hoppers here. Each one gets split into two double speed hopper streams that are fully capable of dealing with all the items that were, at least in the past, generated by this. But obviously now this might be a problem because it's going to hinder our ability to make modifications to this. So my first thought is, let's get myself, the player, a bit farther out of the way of the piglins. So the piglins are going to be in here. If we can put me, the player, down here, and I whack an armor stand up here, that might work. Let's test it out. Okay, so here's my plan, my initial plan here for what I can do. I have an armor stand here, as you can see, it's kind of being held in, and I can stand down here and hit it. But as you just saw, the spears can still hit the armor stand, and then eventually that's going to happen. I'm going to be hitting the armor stand, and the spear is going to hit the armor stand at a similar time, which means that this setup doesn't work. And this was a pretty simple setup, as I just kind of dug a hole down here so I could stand there, and puts the armor stand holding mechanism here. Now that is decidedly not working, I think I might need to go take some more invasive steps to actually get this thing to work. Alright, I found a solution that works. I can attack them through Sweeping Edge, and I can collect the XP, and they cannot attack me. Unfortunately, this would also mean that if I had inventory space, I would start picking up all their crud there, which is unfortunate, but I don't really see any other way around this right now, as this is working. They are unable to attack me. I am just here in survival mode. I can attack them. The one thing that I am concerned about is that the collection system, as it is right now, might not be entirely adequate for this task. But here, I can show, I guess, in creative mode, a little bit more in depth what's going on. So I think this here, I will move the trapdoor back to the other side. You see, I moved the trapdoor in the previous iteration, but it doesn't matter now. So up here, this area is just completely blocked off now. The piglins just kind of get to stand down there. Oh, I broke a block over here. Yeah, so this area is now mostly sealed in. You actually can't attack them from here. The purpose of up here is to aggro the piglins, obviously. Down here, obviously, we're going to have this area here. I might actually put some torches down here or whatever, but you're just going to stand here and attack this armor stand, basically. This entire second half of the collection system here is actually now completely useless, so I'll get rid of that in a moment. That'll definitely simplify things. Additionally, up here, I put this little roof over where the piglins get in here, as I noticed that as the piglins were coming up and getting in here, they would jump before falling down in there, and that was causing some problems. So this prevented them from doing that. Also, though, you may have noticed there are a fair amount of drops out here, and that's not because they're leaking. That's because there is a little bit of piglin on piglin violence going on. You see, spears don't really discriminate with who they are attacking. So for some reason, the Piglins, when they're aggro, they're wandering around with the spears already extended. They get in here when all the Piglins are mobbing up, preparing to get in there, and then they just so happen to hit another one of their friendly Piglin, who then turns on them and starts attacking them and kills them. So that's why there's a ton of little Piglin drops around here. So obviously the solution to this is put a bunch of hoppers out here. So I guess I'll make those changes to the actual collection system now. Alright, I figured how to get a carpet bot running or working here on the server. And side effect, did you know that this was the skin that Steve, generic Minecraft Steve currently has? Why exactly? Anyhow, that weirdness aside, yeah, you can see it is actually actively working here. And here you can see where all those drops were coming from. Guys with spears, they just start attacking Piglins and then they die. So yeah, we put this big old pad of hoppers here, which comes down, and I removed this chunk of the item collection system because obviously it wasn't necessary. And I just removed the center dispenser and piped the outputs or the hoppers from above into these two dispensers. It's really unnecessary for it to be two. I just felt like that was a good idea. There's another one going. That is actually a pretty frequent thing. But yeah, as you can see, this is largely working. And the reason why I wanted to get a carpet bot set up instead of just, my main account with my alt account here and spectator phone. Currently, my alt account is monitoring the collection system here. It does appear to be holding, but, we haven't time tested this yet. Which is what we're about to do now, because we're going to do a tick sprint. Wait, what is it called? A sprint nowadays? It used to, I think, yes. Tick sprint. Yeah, it used to be a warp. It's now a sprint. We're going to do one whole in-game day. And yes, this is why I specifically wanted the bot, because it can simulate attacking with the time of the sprint versus I use a script on my computer, which therefore can't do that. But yeah, this is what it looks like when the farm is completely sped up. Interesting. And there's the golems working to attract some of the magma cubes off the platform. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I don't know what the criteria for it is. But yeah. Currently, it would appear the collection system is actually holding, which is actually great news. Yeah, I don't know what else to really say here. Obviously, there is some stuff that some of the Piglins die on top of the stairs. I could probably replace these stairs with with slabs, actually, now that I think about it. Because the reason it was stairs is because they needed to be up just enough where they could successfully fall down to be on a slab here. And now that slab is gone, it may actually be viable to not have that. But then again, then they'd still end up jumping a little bit, which would negate this little ceiling here. So I don't know. But yeah, things appear to be working pretty well. I think I do want to try out a little bit of stuff to maybe prevent magma cubes from spawning in the first place, so that we don't even have the chance for them to just kind of get in the center here and fuck everything up. But yeah, I guess we'll see about that, and then we'll build these modifications in survival mode. Okay, actually, the sprint completed, and I'm going to say never mind. There's a lot of items that are just kind of piled up on top here. Oh yeah, I guess Steve's inventory wasn't full, so he probably would have been collecting a lot of the items. I'm going to sprint this for a while more here, just to kind of see what happens. But yeah, I'm guessing that there's a lot of items that are going to pile up here, which means I need to reinvent this storage system, which, I do have an idea for what I can do, or not storage system, collection system. I have an idea for what I can do for that, but it'll involve gutting this entire thing and replacing it with something else entirely. Okay, here's the major redesign of the collection system, and it is totally different from what you can see. So, this is now a minecart-based collection system, actually like we had for the design we used last season, except this one's a little bit smarter. Instead of having to shut the flow of minecarts off temporarily so we could drop the items out of the way because, no water in the nether, we just switch over to a different one, which I don't know why I never thought of doing this before, but yeah, it just switches where the minecarts are going. We have to be precise on the timing, but that's not really a problem here, considering we know all the variables of timing here. Once the items are offloaded from the hopper minecarts, they come right here. Unfortunately, I don't know if I'll be able to prevent that from happening right there. Items that drop down here, they get slingshotted from the slime box all the way around, and then down into the system we had down here below from beforehand. But probably the most interesting part of this is the fact that this is actually automatic. This system is actually automatically activated based off of the death of the piglins in the system. So this here calibrated skulk sensor will detect when an entity dies, and then it'll know, oh hey, there's probably drops for me to collect. So it'll then turn the system on. So here I can start the carpet bot. As you can see, we activate the Skulk sensor, sending out the minecarts. Although something I didn't initially account for was the fact that the minecarts themselves breaking count as death for the Skulk sensor. So I had to put some wool here to insulate that from the intentional mechanics of this farm. Anyway, I'm going to run this for a while now, make sure nothing here breaks, and then, yeah, it will probably get destroying everything I built on the server to build this instead. Okay, so I'm back with another kind of unfortunate update, and you can kind of see what's the problem here. Yeah, minecarts are kind of somehow dropping into the wrong stream here. And I don't know why. I've tested all sorts of things. I've changed out the clock, slowed it down, sped it up, changed timings. Nothing seemed to work there. I even went off to the side and just tested a very simple example without any moving parts, really, just minecarts. And I think this setup might be broken now. I think they may have somehow changed something with minecart physics that means that it just doesn't work anymore. At least not in the nether without water. I suppose I should go do that actually right now. So obviously I'm going to quickly go into the overworld and test this with water. Okay, I just went and tested in the overworld with water, and that didn't make a difference. So the only solution I was able to come up with was this. Just a bunch of allays here, ready to pick up the minecarts, and just return them into the system when they're done. But this is obviously an awful solution that should not have to be done, so I think I'm just going to have to completely redo this collection system, which is kind of a pain, because it has to somehow be significantly faster than double hopper speed on each block, while at the same time not using this method of unloading hopper minecarts. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to be doing for this. Okay, here is the completely redesigned collection system, and it is way more compact than what, I guess, either of the previous results are. And, yeah, it was a little bit tricky to get this thing actually, or to actually work. But, yeah, this does work way better than what we had previously. There's no sort of iffy mechanics, and I would hope this also performs better, but it does have a lot of hopper minecarts. Specifically what we have here, coming down from the top, we have these hopper minecarts on rails here, so they can actually pick up the items that land on top of the glass there from the actual killing mechanic of the farm. Then, beneath those, straddling these two blocks, are more minecart hoppers. Ooh, there's a lot of those in here. But there's two of them shoved in each block, so they can operate twice as fast as a normal minecart hopper, which should be able to pull items at 4x hopper speed. Beneath that, aligned to regular blocks, are single minecart hoppers just shoved inside blocks here. So there's 6 blocks of sand on this level. Each one has a single minecart hopper in them, able to evenly split the load from the minecart hoppers above. Then down below that, straddling 2 blocks again, we have another set of minecart hoppers, with 1 minecart hopper per layer, which then gets dropped onto 2 regular hopper speed, then point into the dispensers below here. That then goes through a system similar to what we had before to just push the items down into the storage system here. And that is the new storage system. It is actually very much, way simpler than the previous designs. It also is way more fiddly to get working, as you have to squeeze all those minecarts in there. And they are not easy to get in there because they're going to want to fight and blow apart, because there's 6 minecarts in those 3 blocks. Anyhow, now that I've got that all sorted, I can actually go build this thing on survival. Alright, I have constructed the modifications here, and I was actually pleasantly surprised by how similar the resources required for this were to the original system's resources. I barely required anything new, which was nice. But yeah, now that I've got this built, I've also added a system here to actually prevent magma cubes from spawning, so I guess the golems are maybe a little bit unnecessary now. Hard to say. Anyhow, now I can get using this. But also, while I've been building this, I discovered something kind of interesting. This frequency for the Skulk sensor also detects firework rockets going off. So yeah, flying around here will activate the item collection system. But yeah, I guess now I will just start using this farm. And yeah, I guess we can now get working on the storage system in the overworld. Yeah, I just realized I have fire aspect on my sword, which doesn't work well with armor stands. I need a new sword first. But anyhow, yeah, we're going back to the storage system now. Alright, so back here at the storage system, I'm in a little bit of a pickle here, trying to figure out how exactly I should expand this, as we have taken up much of the mountain here with the current storage system. There's not too much space backwards before we start peeking out. Over this way, yes, there is this cave, but then there's the edge of the mountain here. And over the other side, well, same situation. Actually, there is a fair bit of space here, admittedly. But, still we get to the edge of the mountain eventually. So, it's going to be a pretty prickly situation, but I'm currently leaning towards let's go this way a bit and just kind of see what happens. Okay, so I've dug out basically as much space as I can over this way, I believe. That right there, you can see the grass block. That's right about a poke out over there. That I believe is also right about a poke out there, and that is about a poke out of that. Now, I'm not too sure if this area right here is actually going to end up being used for chests, considering we have the pit here, which is kind of already coming in occupying the space. So I'm not entirely sure what's going to go back here, if this is also going to get dug down, or anything like that, but I just thought I'd dig this out. But over here is where we're going to, put a lot more chests. Here I've, marked out the space for the item sorters to go. And we're just going to line all the way from here to the back wall there. And then it's going to wrap around and we're going to have some right over here. That's going to be a lot of chests. Ooh, good thing I have a lot of bamboo. Chests and item filters have been installed. And, yeah, this is a fair bit more chests. But, I thought that was a decent amount of chests. This is a lot more than that. But we'll probably end up filling most of these. Also, the new overflow is going to be right here. But yeah, now I guess we actually got to configure all these filters to store things, as you would expect. Alright, I have moved stuff around and finished moving all my items over here, which means I've filled in a bunch more slots. So first of all, we have glass and smooth stone now over this way. I believe, cobbled deep slate down here in this shulker box slot. There's currently nothing in this slot. Maybe we'll have something there in the future. Moving over this way, though, a lot of things here. So we got just a bunch of miscellaneous blocks, chests, hoppers, and then go through a bunch of items. This is leaf litter, if for whatever reason I'm in want of that. Then we got, a bunch of other random items, trapdoors included, ores and stuff, and then foods. And then, all this stuff is currently filtering through the system. As you know, hoppers are a bit slow, but they are very reliable, which is why I do storage systems like this and not other ways, because these basically can't break unless you do something really dumb with the filters. So, that I think for now at least is the storage system as I want it. And I can't be bothered to do any interior work right now, but I do want to continue building up this platform here so that it's not just, a circle with a couple poles on it. Let's put up the walls at very least. Alright, here we are with what this is presumably going to look like for the foreseeable future here. Now, I've put in, obviously, glass right on the edge and some more posts to kind of make it feel a little bit more supported. And then I guess above that, the roof. Which, it's got kind of, keeps its circular style as it kind of slopes up to the top here. Now, this final trim layer here, I'm debating changing this to dark oak. Or, something else to stand out a little bit as the edge. But for now, I guess that is fine. And I realized, because I now have glass here. Now, I haven't done the sides here, because these are just going to be regular wall. But again, I have realized, I don't know how I'm actually going to be getting in and out of this. So far, I'm just going to be going around the sides here, but that's obviously not going to be available for too much longer, so I'm going to seal that in. But for now, I think this is good, or as good as it's going to get. So with that, I think I'm going to have to say thank you all for watching. Hope you've enjoyed. Please make sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe. Check out my game, which is linked in the description So on the next episode of Coolcraft Season 8. Bye!